I'm Angela.
And I'm Paige.
Join us as we dive into our obsession with true crime, history, and mysterious stories. We'll explore the intricate details of the corrupt, the cruel, and the calculating.
We assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this episode. The Corrupt Podcast is based on the facts and our opinions of the case. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Corrupt Podcast. Welcome to the Wild Web, our recurring collection of bizarre and downright strange stories from across the internet.
Just as a quick reminder, you can support this podcast by joining our Patreon over at patreon.com/corruptpodcast or making a one-time contribution with PayPal. Both links are in the episode notes. On November 2nd, 2020, 83-year-old Paulette Landrieu disappeared without a trace from her Belgium home. Paulette suffered from Alzheimer's disease and required full-time care from her husband, Marcel. She was described as 5 foot 6 inches, Caucasian woman with white-gray, medium-length hair. At the time of her disappearance, Paulette was wearing glasses, black trousers, a blue jacket, and maroon shoes. Marcel had set Paulette in front of the TV with lunch and headed out the back door to hang some laundry on the line.
When Marcel came back inside, Paulette was gone. Marcel worried that she became confused and wandered away. It wasn't the first time that Paulette had left the home without telling Marcel where she was going. Marcel started with the neighbors, but no one had seen Paulette. The police were contacted and a search was conducted both on foot and from a helicopter. 2 years went by, and Marcel suspected that Paulette may have fallen into a river that ran not far from their house. Then in 2022, one of Marcel and Paulette's neighbors made a discovery using Google Maps.
Google Maps hadn't been through the area since 2009, but on the same day and time that Paulette disappeared, they came through the area. The Google Maps Street View caught Paulette walking out the front door, and you can also see Marcel hanging laundry in the backyard. Paulette walked across the street and down her neighbor's steps, which led to a steep hill with brambles at the bottom.
Paulette's body was found at the bottom of her neighbor's hill, less than 300 feet from her home. Paulette may have been unable to communicate that she had fallen or struck her head on the fall down the steep hill. Google and Paulette's neighbor were able to bring closure to her family.
The exact time needed for Google Maps to drive by and see both Paulette and Marcel outside of the home.
Yeah, it's a crazy circumstance that it would happen at the exact time.
We'll post the picture to our socials because it is just a really sad situation because you can see Paulette headed to the left and then Marcel clearly hanging laundry, all in one frame. You may remember back in 2015 when a dress went viral because no one could agree if it was blue and black or white and gold. It all began when Cecilia Bleasdale sent her daughter Grace a photo of the dress she planned to wear to Grace and her fiancé Keir Johnston's wedding. Celia and Grace just couldn't agree on the color of that dress.
To settle the debate, Grace posted a photo of the dress to Facebook, and a friend shared it to Tumblr. What happened was that the dress became known as the dress that broke the internet. The dress retailer, Roman, couldn't keep the dress in stock. They speculate the photo was shared more than 73 million times across all social media platforms. No one could agree. Was it white with gold lace or blue with black lace? Within a couple of weeks, Roman announced that the dress was actually blue and black.
It piqued the interest of scientists. Why was the blue and black dress seen as white and gold by so many? One idea is that the original photo taken by Cecilia simply had poor lighting. Our brains are wired to stabilize colors in light and dark. The brain also makes assumptions about colors, sometimes filling in the blanks. When the dress first appeared online, about 50% of people saw blue and black, and the other 50% white and gold. After the retailer Roman came forward confirming the color, the majority of people suddenly saw blue and black because even though the lighting is poor, their brain made the correct assumption.
What did you say that you saw again? You see blue and black, right?
I see blue and black, yes.
I see white and gold.
Even now that you know that the dress is blue and black, you can still look at that picture and see white and gold?
Yeah. But like how we were looking at it that one day, it's with specific pictures on the internet changed the lighting.
Yep.
And like I was able to see the blue and black, but the like original photo, it was white and gold.
Yes. The one that Cecilia takes is very, I want to say like gray colored. Like it almost looks like it has a filter on it because it looks kind of wonky. It's shaded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see how it could look white.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's actually blue and black.
It's white and gold.
Oh boy.
Just kidding.
Our brains definitely think differently, which is something we could have already said.
Yeah, my brain is already malfunctioned, so makes sense. The story of Grace and Keir didn't end with the dress. In 2023, 38-year-old Keir Johnston was arrested for the attempted murder of Grace. She had suffered years of domestic abuse from Keir, citing that she was scared to leave with so little police presence on the Scottish island where they lived. Charges were filed for a March 6, 2022 incident where Keir held Grace to the ground, sat on top of her, and strangled her before pulling a knife and threatening to kill her. A witness saw the attack and was able to pull Keir off of Grace. Keir originally pleaded not guilty in 2023, but at the 2024 trial, he changed his plea to guilty. Keir was sentenced to 60 months in prison with time served while he awaited trial. Keir is also banned from contacting Grace for 10 years.
Running with the story, the South African Salvation Army used Grace, Keir, and the dress story for their domestic violence campaign. Why is it so hard to see black and blue?
That makes no sense to me. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
I see what they were going for. I just don't think that was handled correctly.
Right. And why is it the South African Salvation Army is what piques my interest?
The dress itself was big news all the way around the world. 73 million shares.
Yeah.
So like us, they probably saw the sad outcome that Grace had been living for many years.
In November 1995, Casey Dean, Edward Nitz, and a friend hit their local McDonald's in Adelaide, Australia. The teenagers ordered too much food, and their friend asked Edward to keep his quarter-pounder burger until he visited again.
It originally started as a joke. Edward planned to keep the burger in the wrapper on his desk waiting for his friend's return. It's been 30 years, and the friend still hasn't returned. Edward and Casey have kept the quarter-pounder, though, naming it the Senior Burger. As time passed, the burger and bun dehydrated and never grew mold. The only thing that has happened to the burger is that it shrank in size and became rock hard.
The friends are hoping to be included in a museum or the Guinness World Records, but without the original receipt, they don't qualify. They did keep the cardboard ring and styrofoam packaging, which supports the Senior Burger's age. McDonald's made a statement about the burger in 2020, speculating the burger had been left in a dry location, which inhibited the growth of mold and bacteria.
The Senior Burger is popular online. On Facebook, the group created by Casey and Edward, titled "Can This 29-Year-Old Burger Get More Likes Than Kanye West?" has almost 6,000 followers. They share memes and music, jokes about the world's oldest McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese. Senior Burger is also on Spotify, jamming to hits like Drive-Thru Blues and Burger Buns. It's worth a listen. I have to say, Drive-Thru Blues is really catchy, jazzy with a chorus about no ketchup for his nuggets or fries to calm his fears. We'll leave the Spotify link in our episode notes. You can also follow Senior Burger on YouTube and SoundCloud. The burger even has its own hashtag. Hashtag too old for mold.
Too old for mold. Let's go.
I love it so much. These guys are just out there having the best time. They're getting interviewed by the news. This burger is 30 years old and counting. It's indestructible at this point.
This is like your dream to interview them, isn't it?
I would love it so much.
It's your dream.
They just seem like the most rad guys. I watched the news with them on there and they are like hitting it and it is rock hard. Like you can hit it on a table and it's just like clunk, clunk.
Ugh.
As a teenager, he tries to hide it from his mom, puts it in the cabinet and it just gets forgotten there. That's amazing. That's a teenage boy for you right there. Like, I'm just going to stick this in the cabinet and my mom won't find it. And like, haha, my friend will come back around. And then the friend never comes back.
The friend is never part of the senior burger.
They bought it together. I think they had started a band and they had bought too much food after a practice. And the friend was like, I'll be back for it as a joke. And so they were like, oh, we'll keep it for you. And the friend has never entered the picture again.
Wow.
I'm sure they've talked to him about it.
Okay.
How's that for a wild web story? Hashtag too old for mold.
Now that one's good. I will agree. Too old for mold.
Catchy.
Gotta love it. In 2010, Florida deputy George Barnes discovered an 18-foot boat abandoned by his home. The boat had been left in an undeveloped housing development 15 miles outside of Pensacola. Using Google Earth, George found an image of the boat parked at the home of 57-year-old Dwight Everett Foster. Dwight admitted to abandoning the boat with the help of his son.
Dwight would be charged with littering more than 500 pounds of waste, which carried a $5,000 fine and maximum of 5 years in jail. When Dwight's son removed the boat from the housing development and disposed of it in a landfill legally, the charge was only $18.
Could have avoided that fine, some jail time, Dwight, if you just would have disposed of it properly.
Yep. Real hero here is Deputy George Barnes. He hunted that boat down using Google Maps. Like, think of how many houses there are, how many boats there are in Pensacola.
Yeah.
That was a deputy on a mission right there.
Yeah. Applause for George Barnes. Let's go. People do some wacky stuff when Google Maps drives by, including 2 Scottish men who staged an axe murder in 2012. They later told police they only had about 20 seconds to decide what to do when 56-year-old Dan Thompson saw the Google car loop around the block by his auto repair shop.
Quickly, the 2 men decided to keep it classy by not mooning the camera. Instead, Dan laid on the ground and his colleague, Gary Kerr, stood over him with a pickaxe. In one of the photos, you can see Dan lying on the street, and you can also see Gary carrying the axe menacingly towards Dan.
The 2 men forgot all about it until a year later when the police showed up at the door. The axe murder scene had finally made its way to Google Maps and someone had reported a potential crime to the police. Dan Thompson told BBC,
"We had forgotten about it when the police arrived a year later, and we apologized for wasting police time. They found it funny."
Should we do something like this?
Act like one of us is getting harmed when Google Maps drives by?
Yeah.
There are so many stories like this out there. There's a little girl that also pretended to be lying on the street like she was dead. She thought it was hilarious. The adults around her did not. And it was treated obviously very seriously because it was a child. She was proud of herself though.
Yeah, okay. Bad influences. I get it. We won't do it.
I think it's funny that they kept it classy by not mooning the camera. That was Dan's direct statement. We were keeping it classy. Just grab a pickaxe instead.
Didn't pull my pants down, but I pulled up this pickaxe. On April 21st, 1998, the body of 17-year-old Shauna Maynard was found at the intersection of Decatur and Blue Diamond Roads in Las Vegas. Shauna had graduated high school 2 years early and following a disagreement ran away from home. At 2 a.m. on April 21st, Shauna had called a friend crying and saying that she was afraid her roommate was going to hurt her, but her roommates were two young mothers with 7 children between them.
The Las Vegas Metro Police suspect that Shauna had been having a hard time living in a small apartment with at least 9 other people, which may have turned into a deadly argument around the time of that 2 a.m. phone call. At 3 a.m., a Metro police officer working in the area heard multiple gunshots, but it was dark and they were unable to find the person or exact location of the gunfire. By 6 a.m., Shauna's body was found at the intersection, just 15 miles from the apartment. She had been trying to run away when she was struck down by multiple bullets, including to her face.
When the police visited Shauna's apartment, all of her personal belongings were gone, like she had never been there at all. There were very few leads and the case went cold. On Friday, August 21st, 2015, a 4chan user posted some incredibly disturbing photos on the B random board, including the graduation photo of Shauna. The post read,
"I have killed several women for pleasure. If you can guess a name, I will upload a picture. If you can guess a name of any of these women, I will upload their photo. No more than 10 names per post. Any more than that will be ignored. Some are Polaroid and others were taken with a disposable camera. I also have pictures of them before death when I was able to do so. If you guess all of the names, I will show you where I dumped a body in 1999. The first is free as her name is unlikely to be guessed."
The first photo was Shauna's graduation photo, beside a woman lying in a bed covered in blood. Within 5 minutes, someone had commented a list of names: Shannon, Kelly, Madison, Courtney, Trisha, and the original poster released another photo.
The second photo was of the groin area of a corpse. The third and fourth photos were of a woman's body folded up into a cardboard box. The fifth and sixth photos showed a decaying face focusing on their eyeball, along with a photo of an alive woman lying in bed. The post was quickly removed from the B-board, and the general consensus was that the original poster was illegally sharing crime scene photos.
The users on the X Paranormal board were not so sure that this was a nasty prank. There are no evidence markers in the photos, which would indicate the photos were not from law enforcement. The original poster said some were from a disposable camera. If that was the case, how did they get the photos developed? The stores pulled any photos with nudity, and these photos definitely would have raised some red flags. One comment pointed out that the original poster could be in the X board, trying to convince them the photos were fake because they were having second thoughts.
Everyone is an anonymous poster on 4chan, but just because you don't have to make a login or show your name doesn't mean it's completely anonymous. The FBI does monitor 4chan and has the ability to pull IP addresses. The photo and original thread were submitted to the FBI multiple times from the X board. It doesn't appear that there's ever been an arrest or confirmation on if the photos were real or fake.
Shauna Maynard was Caucasian, 5'4", 150 pounds, and had dyed red hair. Her physical description doesn't match any of the photos uploaded by the anonymous 4chan user. Law enforcement has also confirmed none of the deceased women in the photos are Shauna. Shauna's murder is unsolved.
Anyone with information can call the Las Vegas Metro Police Department Homicide Unit at 702-828-3521 or Crime Stoppers at 702-385-5555. On a much lighter note was the How to Cook a Turkey in the Microwave Challenge from 2018. Using the hashtag Turkey Challenge on Twitter, people pranked their families by asking how long to cook a turkey in the microwave. When asked how long it would take to cook a 25-pound turkey in the microwave, one mother responded, "Wrap it in tin foil, microwave for 30 minutes, then go to the store and buy a pre-cooked one because you'll have to feed the fire department."
Another mom logically responded that a 25-pound turkey won't fit in their microwave and asked if they could borrow their neighbor's oven.
That would be a really nice neighbor to let you borrow their oven on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'd be like, you ain't coming in here because my oven is full. But my microwave's open.
My microwave's open. You're going to let them ruin your microwave?
On second thought, no.
I would be like, here's a roaster. I got a roaster pan you can borrow. Another person asked their grandmother how to cook a turkey in the microwave, and she immediately called them and said, oh, honey, you can't cook a turkey in the microwave. Bring it over and I'll cook it for you. I love it.
That's a good grandma you got there.
Absolutely. Probably one that's wondering about you, but she's going to help you out.
Some families were not so nice. One responded, one thing that came to my mind was, who the hell is going to marry you?
That's harsh.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. One man tweeted a photo of a turkey he had supposedly been cooking in the microwave for 2 hours, but it was still raw. His mom tweeted some directions, even recommending a microwavable baking bag, or admitting it might possibly be better to give it up and just buy a cooked chicken.
Obviously feeling concerned for her son's safety, she reminded him to make sure the bird was fully cooked because he could get sick. He took it a step further by posting a photo of a raw turkey in a baking bag in a microwave and asking, am I going to get the salmon and Ella?
Salmon and Ella.
The salmon and Ella. I bet his mom picked up the phone after that.
No, you're not going to get the salmon or the Ella.
Go get the cooked rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. No salmon or Ella.
So we tried this with our moms for the holidays, and they had the same exact response, which was, I would not.
I thought that was hilarious that both moms texted back, I would not.
That was pretty funny.
I pushed back on my mom, asking how long she thought it would take to cook the turkey in the microwave. It took exactly 1 minute for my mom's friend to message us on Facebook saying, Paige, FYI, your mom is straight Googling about turkey and putting thought in. I could literally feel my mom being like, what the hell? But she came through and was super helpful. Apparently, it would take 7 to 9 minutes per pound to cook the turkey in the microwave. That would be anywhere between 3 to 4 hours if your microwave could nuke that poor turkey.
See, your mom's the real MVP right there. She researched it and everything.
Yes.
She may have thought, what the hell? But she did it anyway.
She did it. And as a certified chef, I could literally hear her being like, we paid way too much for you to go to school. But she did it.
That was a totally different route from what my mom did. My mom was completely confused. This Thanksgiving, I was only doing a ham, not a turkey. So we agreed she was going to bring the turkey. So with me asking her about the turkey in the microwave, confused her like 360 degrees. She was like, wait, I can bring the turkey. Do you want me to cook the turkey? Do you have the turkey? I'm like, no, I'm just doing ham. Like I said. And she's like, no, I can do the turkey. Like, do not cook it in the microwave. I had to like really kind of specify it at the end there. I'm like, Mom, it was a joke. It was just a joke.
You have to spill the beans.
You ever get those like text messages like, oh, haha. Then another text message, you're funny. Like, just separately. Like, why not just send it together? That's what she did.
No, my mom 100% was like, you and my friend are teaming up on me. We kind of were.
That was funny. You definitely had like a partner in crime on that one.
Yes. She was really quick messaging us like she is trying so hard to find you an answer. So thank you for keeping the prank alive.
Yes. Our next story is the 2021 Seattle zombie woman. It began with a video of a woman covered in blood limping down a Washington street wearing only one shoe and howling in pain. She looked exactly how you would imagine a zombie and appeared to be carrying something in her hand. The original video was removed from TikTok, but it popped up again quickly on Reddit and other platforms.
Several 911 calls were made about the woman who quickly became known as the Seattle zombie woman. The police arrived, but the woman continued howling and slowly avoiding capture. Several officers eventually pinned the woman to the ground, where she screamed over and over, "I don't want to go," before she was taken to a hospital.
Internet speculation ran wild. Was she actually hurting, filming a movie, or was it some type of prank? Was she a sign that the zombie apocalypse was upon us? It would be over a year later before we had answers. Turns out the Seattle zombie woman was a woman named Kimberly Kasai.
Back in May 2021, Seattle wasn't under COVID-19 quarantine, but there were some pretty heavy restrictions. Masks were required, and some employers were making the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory. Kimberly was trying to make an anti-vax statement, implying that the COVID-19 vaccine could turn you into a zombie.
She divided the internet again as some people supported her protest while others felt she had wasted the police and hospital resources. In 2022, new police footage was released, showing the moment when law enforcement realized Kimberly wasn't hurt, but covered in zombie makeup. They weren't exactly impressed. Kimberly was admitted to the hospital where it was determined that she was mentally sound. She had partially shaved her head and was carrying around her hair in her hands. It's a little anticlimactic, but at least it wasn't the zombie apocalypse.
Very true. In 2010, the Greek government attempted to use Google Earth to catch tax evaders. Owning a pool in Athens, Greece comes with a luxury living tax. This tax is based on a living cost assumption because owning a pool is a sign of a higher living standard. Basically, this means if you have money for a pool, you're doing all right financially, and you can afford to pay taxes on it.
The tax is 13% of the pool's annual objective value. For example, a 20 by 40 foot rectangular pool would cost approximately 2,000 euros per year, or 2,300 US dollars in taxes. It's a hefty tax and one that the Greek citizens feel a sense of patriotism in not paying. Previously, the government used helicopters to survey backyards and catch tax evaders. That was until 2010 when the government got tech savvy and used Google Earth to investigate those backyards.
What they found was an extreme case of tax evasion. In just one Athens suburb, only 324 pools had been documented and the tax paid. Google found 16,974 untaxed backyard pools. The homeowners wouldn't give up that easily, and a new floating pool tile hit the market. The tiles look like a regular tile from the sky, but they actually float on top of the water and are sturdy enough to walk on. Again, evading the tax and sticking it to the man.
The fact that they found that many more.
16,000 pools in just one suburb alone.
Like, Greece, what you be doing? Pay your taxes for your pools.
Not when it's $2,300 a year. Like, that is a crazy high tax for just owning a pool.
Yep. Our final story involves a Redditor, R. Bradbury 1920, and their 2014 Reddit post requesting legal advice. R. Bradbury was concerned that their landlord or possibly a stalker was breaking in and leaving cryptic post-it notes around their apartment. On April 15th, they found a note with handwriting that didn't match theirs, but listed errands they needed to complete, but had told no one else about it.
Then 4 days later, another post-it note appeared. This time on the back of a chair. The note simply said, "Save my documents." There was no sign of a break-in, and the handwriting appeared to match the first note. R. Bradbury set up a security camera to record inside the apartment when motion was detected. On April 28th, the Redditor woke to a third note. This one said,
"Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important we do."
They checked the security camera, but the recording and computer recycling bin had both been cleared out. Another note appeared on May 1st. This one was outside of their door, but it was blank. They found their lease, and the landlord's handwriting looked very similar to the post-it note writer. By this point, they were understandably freaked out and turned to the legal advice subreddit. The post asked for advice, on speaking with their landlord, who was stalking them, or possibly going directly to the police.
This is when Redditor Kakerlak literally saved R. Bradbury's life. Kakerlak replied to the legal advice post with the idea that the notes were written by R. Bradbury themselves, but then forgotten. There were two options. R. Bradbury might be having a mental issue like a dissociative disorder, or they had a carbon monoxide leak in their building, which would cause headaches, confusion, memory loss, and is fatal. R. Bradbury responded that they had been experiencing some bad headaches, and they owned a CO detector which they would plug in and report back.
The follow-up post confirmed it was in fact carbon monoxide poisoning, possibly from the vehicle parking garage that was directly below their 10 by 10 foot bedroom.
Thanks to everyone who sent suggestions and gave advice on how to proceed, especially to those who recommended a CO detector, because when I plugged one in the bedroom, it read at 100 ppms.
At 150 to 399 ppm, or parts per million, symptoms like headache, dizziness, and nausea occur, and it can be fatal within an hour. Carbon monoxide reduces oxygen in the brain, which can lead to brain injury or death over a prolonged period of time.
R. Bradbury had been experiencing most of the symptoms of a carbon monoxide leak without realizing it. The post-it notes have been written by themselves, but the poison led to memory loss and confusion. The camera had never even been set up successfully, so there were no recordings.
Due to the leak, they were forced to move out of the apartment immediately and live with family members. Their brain was swollen, and the brain cells were damaged due to prolonged poisoning. Recovery took months, and although the swelling went down, some of the brain damage is permanent. They did post an update saying that they sued their landlord, but we don't know if the lawsuit was successful. What we do know is that the internet and Kakerlak saved R. Bradbury 1920's life.
Do you have a Wild Web story to share? Send us an email at corruptpod@gmail.com.
We would love for you to become part of the Corrupt crew. You can find us on Patreon with multiple tiers and PayPal. This will score you our appreciation and will announce your name in a future episode. Both links are in the episode notes. Case suggestions and feedback can be emailed to us at corruptpod@gmail.com.
The sources for this episode would be listed in the episode notes. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Don't forget to subscribe to catch our new Corrupt content. Please also leave us a review wherever you're listening to this episode. Bye!
Bye!